Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. In the reconciliation phase of estrangement, there's often a feeling of there being an elephant in the room, something big and noticeable that's not being acknowledged. It just sits there silently, a new, unwanted feature of the relationship between yourself and your adult child. And I don't have to tell you that it's uncomfortable living with any elephant between yourself and someone you love. There's a sense that you can't or shouldn't relax with them. It's almost as unpleasant as being completely estranged. Most of the time, there's no easy fix for this situation. But let me suggest 3 things you could do to try to come back to yourself and regain some equilibrium while you're going through it. First, pay close attention to your own experience. Most parents I talk with spend more time anxiously scanning the relationship for new threats than noticing what's going on inside themselves, which is perfectly natural and understandable because they're trying to get a handle on the elephant. It feels like if you know the elephant, you can control it, or at least try to minimize any damage it might do. And that's a good impulse. So ask yourself, what is the elephant in the room? Is it the fact that your child was estranged and is now back in touch and you're not sure why any of this happened? Do you feel less than certain about how to keep it from happening again? Do you second guess your every move right now? If so, your elephant is fed by a lack of knowledge and the associated fear of another rejection. Your adult child may also bring an elephant to the room, but their elephant may have a different aspect to it. So maybe each of you has work to do on your own version of the elephant, and that work might be very different. For example, your lack of knowledge compels you to want to know the reasons for the estrangement so you can avoid them in the future. But if your adult child's elephant includes guilt or shame about the estrangement, then from their point of view, the less said about it, the better. If they aren't suffering from guilt or shame, they could still be motivated to avoid talking about the trouble that led to the cutoff. Just like you, they want reconciliation to stick. Avoiding difficult conversations may be something they're doing to protect the relationship. I'll say more about that later when I talk about communication. Every situation has its own unique features. Your adult child might be talking your ear off about the causes of their estrangement, but if they're not talking and your own fear of another cutoff makes it hard to tolerate that, you may still get some relief by gathering knowledge from other sources. The Reconnection Club website is just one online resource for learning about causes of estrangement and what parents can do about it. Knowledge is more available today than ever. Your child is not the only information source, even about the relationship you two share. It will not be easy to wrench your attention away from how your child is responding to you during reconciliation. But watching and guessing and crossing your fingers are not the only options when you're living with an elephant in the room. You can mine your own experience for relevant data. And in doing that, you might discover that part of the elephant in the room for you is your own hurt feelings and loss of trust in your child. Even if they're ready to reconcile, what are you supposed to do with the emotional fallout from what happened? You are first a human being with emotions that may need time to heal. If so, healing is work that parents can do independently. It's not a let's sit down and hash this out kind of joint activity. Personal healing is personal. It's between you and your therapist, or counselor, or cleric, maybe with the support of a loving spouse or other person. Your adult child may be working on emotional healing as well during reconciliation with their currently preferred support system. Addressing the elephant in the room requires paying attention to the shape and size and color of your own elephant. Lack of certainty about what caused the estrangement and might do so again. Feeling hurt, being unable or afraid to trust again. Those barriers exist not between you, but within you. And to some degree, you can address them without your adult child's help if that's not available. If you have no idea why your child created the distance in the first place, then maybe listen to episodes 125 and 126 about some common blind spots in the parent-child relationship. Even very loving, very conscientious parents can and do have blind spots. That 2-part episode starts at reconnectionclub.com/125. If you have a counselor or therapist, you could ask them to help you review specific interactions with your child without blame or judgment for either of you, but with a will to understand with compassion what went wrong in those interactions and why. If you're a Reconnection Club member, you can browse topics in our library, take some of our courses, or follow our learning pathways. Understanding more doesn't have to wait until your child agrees to tell you everything, which may never happen. But reducing anxiety probably does have to wait until your knowledge increases, and with it, your confidence. So item number 1 is to pay attention to yourself as much as you can during reconciliation. Get to know the elephant in the room from your point of view. And keep in mind that your adult child may be facing a different elephant. For that and other reasons, they might not be able to help you reduce your anxiety. So use your other options. The second step I would take if you've been wondering how to talk about the elephant or why your adult child didn't or won't just talk about the elephant is to review communication patterns in your family. Despite the fact that individuals have their own temperaments and ways of being in relationships, every family has certain shared habits and patterns and norms of communication. These provide some context for any communication today between you and your adult child or children. So reviewing the family's current and historical styles of communication would be another activity that could be helpful. I'll go into that along with item 3 in the next episode. Between now and then, you might want to listen or re-listen to episode 54, which is called Why Do They Cut Off Contact Instead of Talking About It? And also check out episode 118, Does Your Adult Child Lack Communication Skills? You can find those at reconnectionclub.com/54 and 118, respectively. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.